So, guys, Newcastle putting in their bid, obviously last night for Benjamin Sesko. So, yeah, obviously they're showing their intent, And the thing that I want to say is for them to put that bid in, we have to be certain that they've been given good encouragement. I think there was actually a report yesterday actually saying that they was given encouragement in regards to Sesko wanting to join Newcastle. And as we know, Newcastle have put in the bid. So I think the total package is 90 million 90 million euros, which is about 78 million pounds, you would say. So again, it's 80 million plus 10 million in add-ons, euros, should I say. So guys, it's important that we understand the actual fee. So if we're not including the add-ons, so it's literally 70 million pounds. Obviously, once you include the add-ons, it goes up to 78 million pounds. So obviously 80 million plus 10, 90 million euro package, but which means it's, as I said, it's the actual fee is 70 million pounds, but the package is 90 million euros if you're going to include the add-ons. Big up to Reluctant Gamer. Yeah, big up, bro. Big up for coming back through again, as always. So, bro, I want to ask you, actually, what do you think of the bid that Newcastle's put in? And do you think Newcastle can try and get this deal over the line? Because I think the fact that Newcastle have put that bid in, they must have been given some strong encouragement, for Sesko to actually be joining them. I think Man United at the moment, I think they want more assurances from Sesko to say if he wants to join them. And I think until that happens, United probably won't make their bid. But United now know what the fee is going to be required. Again, Leipzig haven't accepted it. But you would think that that bid there of 70 million pounds is a bid that might or should get accepted. So, yeah, bro, let me know what you think. Because, as I said, man, I think the only way that they put that bid in, people might say it's desperation, but they would have been given some strong encouragement from Sesko's camp to say if he wants to join them. And I think it comes down to now what Man United want to do, because I think Man United, for me, as I've always said, I don't really want Benjamin Sesko anyway. But we're going to wait and see what happens. Obviously, Newcastle have kind of encouraged Sesko to obviously make up his mind today. And as I said, I think it's one of them things now where he's going to be down to the player. Big up to Daniela as well for coming through. So, yeah, it is going to be down to the player, of course, as we know. But, yeah, what do you think, bro? Obviously, you're a Newcastle fan. So let me know what you think. Do you think that that they can try and get that over the line? Big up to Safcon Wallace as well. Oh, Rangers playing tonight, yeah? Okay, who they playing? Is that their first game of the Scottish Premiership? Guys, when you come through, come on, make sure you smash the like button, and obviously make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. So yeah, as we said, guys, okay, Victoria Pilsen in the Champions League. Okay, that's the early qualifying. So as we said, Newcastle have made that bid for Benjamin Sesko. And as I said, man, I think we're going to find out one way or another who he actually wants to join. Because I think the fact that Newcastle have put that bid in, they must be fairly confident, Big up to Jay as well. They must be fairly confident of, and Sham, big up Sham. They must be fairly confident, guys, I would say, of getting that over the line. Definitely. So, yeah, let me know in the chat what you think of the Benjamin Sesko. Do you think United have a chance of getting him, or do you think Newcastle are firmly in the driving seat? And as I said, the bid, as we know, the package is 90 million euros, which works out to 78 million pounds. Obviously, if we're including the add-ons, that's where the 90 million package is coming from. So if we're putting the add-ons to the side, because again, these add-ons might not be achievable. The actual bid for Benjamin Sesko is £70 million, which is 80 million euros. And for me personally, I still think that's quite a high price for a striker. That really isn't that proven. 13 goals in the Bundesliga isn't something to write home about, I would say. But I think it is safe to say, man, that Newcastle and United are definitely interested in Benjamin Sesko. Big up to Chris Gale as well for coming through. Guys, make sure you give me your questions and let me know what you think about Benjamin Sesko. Do you think Benjamin Sesko is preferring Newcastle, or do you think Man United are still in there? Because again, United are not going to make a bid until Sesko kind of makes it clear that he wants to go there. But in the same sense as well, it could be a case where where he might just give his preference to Newcastle, because Newcastle are the only team that's put the bid in so far. And as I said, man, I think with the bid hasn't been accepted yet, so we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. So Gamer says, how come you don't want him at Man United? So I've probably answered this a few times. For me, I think this fan base, this Man United fan base, was clambering on for United to go and get a proven goal scorer. Now all of a sudden it's Benjamin Sesko, and for a guy that scored 13 Bundesliga goals last season, it is concerning the amount of money that he's going to cost. Not to mention as well, for me, I look at what's in the league already, and that's experienced. You look at Jean-Philippe Mateta, you look at Johan Visser, you look at Ivan Toney. All three guys, two of them have actually played with Mbeumo already, so that connection's already there. And those three guys have shown that they can score goals in this league, and they're experienced. So I think what United need now, especially in that front line, is probably someone that's more experienced and Prem proven, and Benjamin Sesko, if it's a case of getting Rasmus Højlund at the club and you have Sesko in exchange for that, I'm not opposed to that. But for me personally, I just don't understand this Benjamin Sesko, why he's been earmarked as the player to go for. Because as I said, you've got players in the league already, that won't cost as much as Benjamin Sesko, and they're not being targeted. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, man, really, to be honest with you. But all we can do is just see what happens. But as I said, I don't really want Sesko at Man United, if I'm honest. I think there's better options out there. He's 22 years of age, same age as Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund's been an absolute joke of a signing, and I'm not saying Sesko is worse than Rasmus Højlund, because I actually do think he's a better player than him. But I think Man United shouldn't be going for this player, in my opinion. I think there's better players out there that should be targeted, in my opinion. So, big up to Sham. Sham says, I did comment on your post that Sesko will go to Newcastle for Champions League football and would only go to United for the money, but also for the history of the club. Yeah, I think if Sesko was to choose Man United for me, it can only be that, the history of the club. Because let's be honest, if you're a player that's on the up, you don't really go and join Man United at this moment in time, which again is difficult for me to say. But I think in terms of Champions League football, where I see Newcastle finishing next season, again, if they was to lose Isak, you'd think that they are going to drop down, because his goals have been vital. But again, they're looking at Johan Visser. They want Benjamin Sesko. If they get both of them and lose Isak, but get the money in, then although it's going to be a blow to lose Isak, but again, you can invest that money in the squad, and you're going to get two strikers, definitely one there, if Visser does come through, that has shown he can score goals in this league and will be playing for a better team that will create more chances. So I think Sesko really, again, it's going to be down to his decision, but yeah, personally, I don't want him at the club. But again, United are chasing him, but it's down to Newcastle, and United's going to see who he chooses. But the fact that Newcastle have set a deadline of what they want to hear his response, to be honest with you, I rate that, because it's Newcastle are showing the intent that they want him. But again, they're showing that, they're not going to be idiots and just you know, and just wait around. And yeah, I can respect that. So yeah, big up to Broderick as well. Big up for coming through. Crowbar says, "Are you Mexican? Ever seen a black Mexican?" That would answer your question. Yeah, I'm not Danny Trejo, man. If anyone knows Danny Trejo from Machete, yeah, big up, man. Gamer says, "What proven striker would you target?" Bro, I've said already. Mateta and Johan Vissa are already in the league. And then you've got Ivan Toney. I think Ivan Toney's more of a difficult signing because, as we know, you know, Ivan Toney's on that mad money in Saudi. So he's more of a difficult signing. But Mateta's in the league already, you know, and would welcome a move to Man United. And then you've got Johan Vissa, who, again, has just come off the back of a season. You know, what did he get? 19 or 20 goals in the league. Combination with Mbeumo, who's now at Man United. Why he's not been targeted, 28 years of age, doesn't really make sense to me. You know, it's odd. But those three for me, definitely. You know, they've all got Premier League experience. They're all proven in the league. So I don't understand why they haven't been targeted. So yeah, they're the three that I'd go for. So big up to Internet Consumer says, "What's this channel all about?" I'll let my mods tell you that one, but it's a football channel, man. But yeah, listen, I'll let my mods tell you that if you're still in the chat, Internet Consumer. But big up for coming through. Gamer says Vissa's better. Listen, Johan Vissa for me is underrated because, as I said, like him and Mbeumo together at Brentford, you know, Hobbs and Shaw, like they were causing problems. And Mbeumo was always going to leave, you know, because a player of that quality, you know, and he's been showing it, you know, when he very first stepped into the league, really. And so he was always going to go. And but my thing is, why Vissa hasn't been targeted by other clubs? You know, the fact that Newcastle are looking at Vissa is that like they're seeing something that I'm seeing. And as I said, man, I think he's underrated. You know, I think putting his age to the side, because 28 is not old, you know, why he hasn't been targeted like is confusing, you know. And as I said, I think Newcastle have shown their intent to go and get him, and I think it's looking likely, man, that they'll actually get him as well, you know. But I'm just confused why United are not in the race for him, at least, you know. As I said, if United put a bid in for him and he got rejected, at least there's intent there. But why they're putting all their eggs into the Benjamin Sesko basket for a guy that scored 13 Bundesliga goals doesn't make any sense, you know. And there's a lot of contradictory that's going on as well. So yeah, it's confusing, man. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Big up to Jay. Gamer says Sesko has youth. I think Howe will make him a good player. But again, from what I've seen of Benjamin Sesko as well, you know, and this is why I don't think he'll be a good fit for Man United, is because, as I keep saying, Man United need they need someone that can facilitate for the wide players. You know, I keep banging on about this. You know, this is why if you look at Vissa, Toney, and Mateta, they all offer what's needed to get the best out of an Mbeumo and Cunha. You know, Sesko for me is going to be a striker that's going to play on the shoulder. You know, and I don't think that's going to get the best out of Mbeumo and Cunha. You know, and as I said, when you've got goals from out wide, you don't necessarily need a striker that's going to score you 30 goals, because all that means, if that happens, you're taken away from elsewhere. It's not going to be a case where, you know, if you've got Mbeumo and Cunha, and let's say both of them get 25 goals, it doesn't mean you go and get a striker that is going to score 25 or 30. That's not going to happen. That just means that someone else is going to lose out, you know. So if you've got goals from out wide, you know, the next best bet is to go and get a striker that can knit it all together, which is why Joshua Zirkzee is being overlooked, because no one's saying Joshua Zirkzee is going to get 25 to 30 goals. But what he's going to do is be the pivot. He's going to be the link man to get the best out of Mbeumo and Cunha, who are the two big new signings. And then what happens? You know, they'll get the numbers. Joshua Zirkzee will get his fair share, but he's going to be a key facilitator in helping those players get the numbers, which is why I'm trying to say to you now, I don't believe Sesko does that. You know, I think if Sesko comes in, You know, can we say that Mbuemo and Cunha are going to thrive off playing with Sesko? Because Sesko is going to be too busy, you know, playing on the shoulder. And again, if you want to get the best out of the wide players, you need someone that's going to be a pivot and link the play. And for me, Sesko is better than Rasmus Højlund at that, but that's not hard. But I just don't believe that Sesko is going to be that player that is going to be crucial to getting the best out of the wide players. And I put Ahmad in that as well as the wide tens. So yeah, it's one to think about, but yeah, he's got youth on his side. I think he'd be better suited to he'll be much better suited to Newcastle, you know, and if he's clever, he'll join Newcastle because Newcastle play in transition. Because if you think of the likes of Anthony Elanga, who they've brought in, Anthony Gordon as well, you know, those guys play in transition, and Sesko's got pace, and he'll be ideal for the transition play that Newcastle do. You know, so I think he's better suited to go into Newcastle personally. You'd have to think if he does go there, you know, that might mean that Isak will be on his way. But as I said, if they can get Vissa and Sesko, you got Sesko who can run the channels, you know, play on the shoulder. You got Vissa who can do a bit of both, link the play and play on the shoulder. And then you're going to get at least 150 coming in for Isak. So listen, that's going to be good business, man. So Newcastle, again, they've shown their intent in trying to get Benjamin Sesko. And again, yeah, man, they're going to need to just get that over the line. If they don't get it over the line, you know, they're going to be in the mud, man, Newcastle. But I think the fact that they've put the bid in, I think they must have had some strong encouragement. And as I said, there was reports yesterday to say that they've been given good encouragement from Sesko's camp. Because why else would you put the bid in? You know, it's a bit careless, but we'll have to wait and see. Big up to Scratch the Cortex, says, bro, your chest. Yeah, big up, man. Funny enough, actually, I'm getting some more done tomorrow, which is weird. But big up, man. Jay said, like I said yesterday, Sesko is not a good fit for Man United. They should go for Mateta or Watkins. United don't need Sesko. Sesko needs United. Yeah, big up, Jay, man. I can't disagree anymore, man. I'm just surprised that they're actually targeting Benjamin Sesko. Like, I'll be honest, you know, and it's not because Sesko isn't, you know, he's not a shit player. He's not, but he's not what Man United need. And as you said, I think he would need United more than what United needs him. You know what I mean? I just don't understand this signing. And as I said, they're in for him, but yeah, I think you're gonna find out very soon, man. That I'm not gonna say he's gonna be a flop, but I just don't see how he makes United better in comparison to what they've got now, you know. And we'll have to wait and see, man. But there's no doubt that I think the deadline will come today, you know. Newcastle need to wrap up this quick. Otherwise, they could fold like they did with Delap, Pedro, and Ekatike. Yep, I agree. But I've got a feeling that this bid for Sesko, I can't see them. I can't see Newcastle getting stung 4 times. You know, I can't see it because surely they would have learned from their mistake. And I think them losing out on Ekatike, they would have done their homework a bit more to think to themselves, you know, we can't afford to not get Benjamin Sesko. So people might look at it and say, you know, that they've put a bid in and they've been desperate. But personally, I think they've got some encouragement, as I said, from the club to think that Sesko's going to be he's going to be choosing them. You know, that's what I believe. But again, I could be wrong. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, man. But again, Newcastle have given the deadline, and obviously, I'm guessing you guys have already seen already. But Newcastle have put the bid in. You know, it's a 90 million pound euro package. So let's understand in terms of the euro side of it. So it's 90 million euros, which is 78 million pounds. But again, if we're not going to add the add-ons, because the add-ons might not be achievable, it's 80 million pound bid, which is 70 million, sorry, 80 million euro bid, which is 70 million pounds. So, and again, if you want to add the add-ons, that's where it comes up to the 90 million euros. Okay, so it's 70 million pounds or 78 million pounds if you include the add-ons. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Yeah, Sham, you know what? I knew you were going to come out of this. A lot of people are talking about Sesko's jump. You know what I mean? And yeah, he can jump high, but again, I don't really care about that. You know, I just want someone, because him jumping high makes no difference. You know, yeah, he could be an aerial threat. I get that, but like, can he be a facilitator for the wide players, for the wide tens? That's the key. So yeah, that's the key, man. Big up to Bilal as well. Dewsbury Hall, another player who destroyed his career. You know what? Yeah, I was going to touch on this yesterday with Jonas, and I forgot. Yeah, you see Chelsea. Yeah, the amount of business Chelsea do in and out. Yeah, has to be it has to be studied, because when Chelsea say they want to play her out, there's no messing about. They just get deals done. And I remember saying at the start of the summer, I can't remember who was saying to me. I think West Ham were linked with Dewsbury Hall, and I said Chelsea would at least get 15 million out of West Ham for Dewsbury Hall. I'm hearing they're getting close to, what is it, 29 mil? I think it might be add-ons included in that as well. But they're getting close to 29 mil for Dewsbury Hall, yeah. And I'm telling you this now, Chelsea getting players in and out of the club, you know, is probably the best in the business. Because, again, they're looking to get rid of Carney Chukwuemeka. I think Dortmund want him back on loan, as well as Leipzig. You know, they're looking to offload Nicholas Jackson and Nkunku. And the thing is, and Raheem Sterling as well, Ben Chilwell. The thing is, they're going to actually do that as well. Because, as I said, man, they just don't mess around when it comes to getting players at the club. And I think it has to be studied, man. How this club consistently just keep getting players in and out, you know. To get 29 mil, I think it might be for Dewsbury Hall, is great business. And as I said, man, I think he was a player. And the thing is, Dewsbury Hall's not a bad player. But the amount of quality that Chelsea have in their midfield, he was never going to get regular game time, you know. So the fact that they've actually got about 29 mil for him, you know, is crazy business. Because, again, people were saying to me at the start of the summer that they'll be lucky to get 15 mil, 20 mil for him. They've surpassed that now. So, yeah, Chelsea, man, they just keep doing it. And again, they're going to be getting in more players as well. You know, I don't think it stops at Xavi Simons. Yoro Hato's been signed now. Again, there's interest in Garnacho, which, again, is baffling. But I just got a feeling that they're going to get a couple of more players in. Because I think if Nicholas Jackson goes and if Nkunku goes, I can see them going for, you know, a big name. Who that might be, I'm not sure, but I can see that happening. RF69 says, can you tell my friend Comin Myers happy birthday? Yeah, Comin, man, happy birthday. Comin Myers, happy birthday. Big up for coming on, RF69. Let's see. Big up to Rinser. Big up, bro, each and every time. So happy that we didn't get Sesko at Arsenal, but I think he'll go to Newcastle. Yeah, bro, to be honest with you, man, I think at this moment in time, I think everything's pointing towards Newcastle, if I'm honest. You know, I know there's people out there saying that United are still in the race, you know, and he's going to go to United. But for me personally, I just think that Newcastle will be a better fit for him, definitely. I think Newcastle ticks all the boxes for how he plays. Again, you know, the pace in the transition, which is going to be key, and he'll offer a lot to that team in terms of that as well. Champions League football, you know, the thing is as well, what he needs to be careful of is that Man United are by no certain guarantee to be in the Champions League next season, whereas Newcastle are in there this season, you know, and they've got a good chance of being there again, because again they've got money to spend, you know, and if they get rid of Isak as well, let's say, Sesko will be going there as the main striker, you would believe. And, they could still improve their team. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of positives for joining Newcastle. I know people might say, obviously, up the north is a bit cold and it's not a great place to live. But again, you're a footballer, man. You're on so much money. You can deal with that. So I don't see that being a stumbling block. But I think everything points towards him going to Newcastle. If I'm honest, but again, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens because Newcastle have said they want an answer within 48 hours. So I expect by the end of today, Sesko to make up his mind. Um. So yeah, man, that's what I think. Big up to Sam Joe says I don't want Liverpool to sign Isak. Bro, listen, me and you both, man. Like as I said, man, if anyone's been watching my channel for any period of time, since the start of the summer, I've been talking to, obviously, done my stream yesterday with Jonas. I've been saying, obviously, to Sham, obviously, Liverpool fan as well in the chat. I've been saying there's no way that Liverpool sign Wirtz and Isak in one window because that's going to cost about, between both of them, you're looking at about, what, 300 million, yeah? Or past that. And I've never seen Liverpool, for all my years watching football, Liverpool spend that amount of money. And as I said, man, the fact that they've spent that amount of they've spent that amount of money on Wirtz, and they're trying to get Isak as well. It's showing that they're not letting go of this this league title, man. And they're gonna be one of the favourites for the Champions League as well. So their intent is clear, So it's one of them things where you can't even hate on it, man. But if they get Isak, I'll go as far and say, because I still believe that Man City are gonna do something special in this window. I think Man City, they're gonna surprise a lot of people. I think they've got a big signing up their sleeve, especially if Liverpool get Isak, But I'd have to say, if Isak does go to Liverpool, I'm making Liverpool right now the slight favourites. If he does go there, Isak, I think you can't bet against them, But as I said, don't be surprised if City make a big signing. I heard as well City might be looking at getting a Jed Spence, which I think would be a great signing for them at right back. He's a very good defender. And I think with Jed Spence, for me, he should be starting for Tottenham, But whether he's going to start, because I think Porro might be first choice. Obviously Udoji, left back, first choice as well. But for me, I think Jed Spence is good enough to go and play for Man City, definitely. But I think there was talk about if, because Maddison's got that injury, Son's gone as well, that Jack Grealish might be targeted by Tottenham. And if that happens, they might ask for Jed Spence in exchange, And I think if Jed Spence goes to Man City, I think all of a sudden City's defence is looking decent, to be fair, because I think Jed Spence is a very good player. I'm surprised he hasn't been called up to England's team yet, to the senior team. I think he's on course to get a cap soon, man. Right and left back he can play. So Jay says the Bundesliga is being ripped apart. All the stars either moving to Bayern or the Premier League. Bundesliga is going to turn into League One, French league. But Jay, to be honest with you, man, that's been happening for a little while. What usually happens is that all the best players from Borussia Dortmund, invariably, if you look at the likes of Lewandowski, Mario Götze, Mats Hummels, throughout the years, those guys have all gone to Bayern Munich, which obviously makes the strongest competitors to Bayern Munich weaker. And then you look at the likes of Bayer Leverkusen, Jonathan Tah's gone to Bayern Munich. Obviously, Wirtz was looking they were looking at getting Wirtz there before he went to Liverpool. So yeah, all the best players really go to Bayern Munich, and it does make the league less competitive, But again, this is where coaching comes into it, because if you're losing a big player and you identify a player that can come in and do a similar job or better, then this is where coaching comes into it, So when I'm hearing that the likes of Ruben Amorim, hasn't got his players, again, it's just these fans making excuses because at the end of the day, if you're a coach, if you're a top coach, which is meant to be, you would at least coach these players to be better. You know, so I don't really want to be hearing any excuses for this manager anyway. Some clown called Bonsai Bean. Dude got a halter top with a jean jacket, SMH. Yeah, good one, man. Good one. But you're watching me, man. That's what it is. Guys, bear me 1 minute. 1 minute. Someone at my door. Oh, shit. Guys, bear me 1 minute. Morning, mate. You right?
Yes, thank you. How are you?
Not so bad yourself.
Good, thanks.
Good, man.
Oh, sorry, can I round that?
Right, go on.
Thank you. Okay, cheers.
Listen. Yeah, guys, man, apologies for that. Them bloody every drivers just happen to come at the wrong time, man. Yeah, madness. But yeah, apologies for that. What's happened there? This camera's gone all over the place. Yeah, so Rinza says, let's start a GavGoesIn Fantasy Premier League. Yeah, listen, do you know what? Funny enough, actually, I've never done Fantasy Premier League. Never done it, man. I've never really been interested in doing it, really, you know. But yeah, maybe that's something I might have to look at. So Jay says, smash the like button in the top corner. Yeah, guys, come on. If you're in there, there's 35 of you in there at the moment. You know, there's 13 likes. If you're enjoying the content, just smash that like button. And if you're new in there as well, make sure you sub to the channel. Again, it's just one press of the button, guys. And when you smash that like button, it helps the channel be seen by more people. So, again, if you're enjoying the content, it's free. Just smash that like button. And again, make sure you sub to the channel as well. Big up yourselves for coming through. Big up to Melissa Manfuso. Big up to Liam Chris as well. And big up to Jamal Benouf. Bilal says, young players with potential shouldn't move to Chelsea. Yeah, you know what it is? It's a difficult one with Chelsea because, again, Chelsea's model, you know, is get them young and sell them for profit. That's always been their model. And that's not going to stop, you know. And again, if they're making money from it, you can't really blame them. But I think if you look at the likes of Cole Palmer, who's a prime example, you know, he's come there as a young player, you know, for relatively peanuts as well. And now he's one of the best players in Europe, undoubtedly. So, yeah, I think it's not always a case where younger players shouldn't be going there. I think if you're really special, you are going to find yourself getting game time at Chelsea. But invariably, what they do is sell them for profit, man. And you can't blame their model. Like they've got it spot on, man. You have to say, you know. And again, only the really top players survive there, and it should be like that at every club, you know. So it is what it is, man. You know. Big up to Ade Lavender as well. Ade Lavender, you know. Big up, man. Guys, sorry, 1 minute. This camera's doing the madness. What's going on? Yeah, there we go. So, big up to X-Sync as well. Big up to Bay, says only Galatasaray. Yeah, big up Bay, man. I got my boy in there, Rinser, Galatasaray fan as well. How do you guys feel about the signing of Victor Osimhen? I didn't really want him at Man United personally, but it's a good signing for Galatasaray after he was on loan. So look, Chelsea in talks with Dortmund for Chukwuemeka. You see what I mean? Like Chelsea just don't mess around. Oh, Dortmund are trying to get Fabio Silva as well from Wolves. He's quite a decent striker, you know. So yeah, Dortmund making moves in this window as well. So Bay says Osimhen is the best forward in the world. Nah, you're way off, man. No way. If Osimhen was the best forward in the world, with all due respect, he wouldn't be at Galatasaray. He'll be playing for a Barca or a Real Madrid or a PSG. You know, he's a goal scorer, but to say he's the best forward in the world, nah, no way, man. He's definitely amongst them, but yeah, I think you get a bit carried away, man, if you think he's the best striker in the world. Zinc says Sesko isn't good. I agree, Sesko's not good. But whoa, I wouldn't say he's not good. You know what I mean? I wouldn't, but I'd say definitely for me, Man United shouldn't be signing him. Like, in my opinion, there's no way I believe United should be targeting Benjamin Sesko, a guy that scored 13 Bundesliga goals. Like, it's crazy business, man. That shouldn't be happening for me, you know, especially when all summer we've been hearing United need number 9 striker that scores goals. Even though I disagree with that, but why Sesko now, all of a sudden? You know, it's mad. Bay says Galatasaray will win the Champions League in the future. Rinsa, if you're still there, bro, just let Bay know, man. I know you're a Galatasaray fan as well. Just let Bay know, man, to calm his expectations. Because Galatasaray, I mean, I'm guessing they are in the Champions League, but they've got to get through the qualifying first, you know what I mean, before you start talking about them winning Champions Leagues in the future. Didn't Lazio just beat Galatasaray? Well, there you go. And Lazio are never going to win the Champions League. So, yeah, listen, man. Let's just calm down with that. Yeah, big up, Jay, man. So Bay says Sane, Icardi, Osimhen, and another Gala players are all world-class players. You know what, Bay? Yeah, listen. Sane for me, you know, he's definitely past it now. But you know, when he was at Man City, like he was frightening. Obviously, when he went to Bayern Munich, he was still a very, very good player, but kind of dropped off a bit for me. But Mauro Icardi, as we know, is a goal scorer, you know, but again, he hasn't lived up to his reputation. And Osimhen we just spoke about as well. And the funny thing is as well, is that unless you're gonna play 4-4-2, because Icardi and Osimhen are both strikers, and if you're gonna play both of them, you're gonna have to play 2 up top, you know. But to say that they're all world-class players, nah, they're not. I think out of all 3 of them, Sane was the most likely that could have been in the world-class bracket when he was at Man City. I think definitely now he's dropped off. Icardi as well isn't world-class. And Osimhen, for me, isn't world-class either. I think Osimhen's a goal scorer, but to say he's world-class is pushing it. And as I said, Sane and Icardi have dropped off, you know. Morata's there as... No, Morata's not there, is he? Morata and Sanchez and Sarah, all world-class, bro. Nah, Bay, man, you're on one. You're on one, man. I listen. I respect your passion for Galatasaray, man. But let's just be serious, man. They're not there's not one world-class player there. If that's Alexis Sanchez, I agree. Alexis Sanchez. That's Davinson Sanchez. Okay, so Davinson Sanchez is world-class, yeah? Nah, listen. You've lost me on that one, man. Definitely. There's no way Davinson Sanchez is world-class, man. And Alvaro Morata's not world-class either. So, yeah, listen. The passion's mad, but the common sense needs to prevail as well. That's what I will say. You know what I mean? Because to say that them guys there are world-class, no way. No way. Let's apply common sense, Bay, man, to these comments, man, because you've lost me on that one. I have to be honest. But big up, man. Big up. Listen, guys, listen. you're not forced to be. You're not forced to be on the channel. You know, if you got good football chat and you want to contribute to the channel, then by all means. But I ain't gonna accept no one coming onto my channel disrespecting my mods either. So Don, is it Don Cope? You're out of here. Like no one's gonna come in there and disrespect my mods or disrespect my channel. You know, if you're not here to contribute to the channel, then as I said, you can fuck off. You're not forced to be here. It's as simple as that. You know, and I hate to be rude, but it is what it is. You know, you're not forced to be here. So Zinc says, "What do you think? Who do you think will win the Ballon d'Or in 2025?" So I think we've answered this so many times. For me, it's between Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele. You know, I think for me, the front runner for me right now, I want it to be Yamal, but I think it might be Dembele because of Dembele winning the Champions League. You know, so yeah, I'm gonna say Dembele is the favorite right now. But for me, if we're just picking the best player, then it's definitely Lamine Yamal for me. No doubting. Yeah, no doubt. So, Gamer, listen, don't engage in anything. If anyone's being disrespectful to any of the mods, just time them out. Like, you've got the power to do that, man. You're one of the mods, so don't even engage in it, man. If someone's chatting rubbish, just time them out or just remove them. Rinsa says, I'm surprised no one has signed Strand Larson. For me, he's a quality striker, very underrated. Yeah, I think, you know what it is? Jakob Strand Larson at Wolves. I think he's a good striker, but I think teams will be looking at him. Teams that are higher up than Wolves will be looking at him. Can he do it for another season before they gamble, you know? So I think the season he just had, you know, I think he was actually quite decent. But I think no one's gonna pull the plug and try and sign him because they want to see if it was a fluke or can he do it for another season. So, but yeah, no, bro, I agree, man. He's a very good player. He is. Well, I say very good player, but I think he had a very good season. So, but yeah, if he does it again, then I think you might see more teams try and inquire about him. So. So Elmer Fletcher says, "Do you know Joe Linton?" Yeah, Joe Linton plays for Newcastle, bro, man. Yeah. What about him? Who's this Zinks guy? Is he? So big up to Mua says, what do you think about FFP? Does it create a monopoly? Yeah, great question. You know what I think about FFP, yeah? I think many people probably might realize this or probably talked about it before. But I personally think FFP is a way of keeping clubs in order, in my opinion. I generally do think that. Because I think if you look at Newcastle, for argument's sake, yeah, let's look at the top teams in the league right now. You got Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. Over the last 3 to 5 seasons, you say those teams have been the top teams in the league. Yeah. Now, if you look at Newcastle, who have the richest owners, Newcastle can just go and spend and be instantly competing with those teams for a title. But I think FFP's been brought about because it stops teams like Newcastle just coming from nowhere and competing. And I generally do think that. I think it's just a way of stopping teams like a Newcastle, who's a good example, from instantly being one of the best teams. You know, I'm not sure what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, but I do think it's that. I do think it's that, man. But again, this FFP and that is killing some of these clubs, because me personally, I would like to see a competitive title race, you know. But I think the way it is at the moment, you know, you'd have to say that the likes of City, Liverpool will always be up there in terms of the money they spend, in terms of the quality of the players as well. You know, they've got very good managers, some of the best managers in the world, so they're going to be up there. But Newcastle can instantly just go up there if they were allowed to spend. So, but they've got a sell to spend. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? So Mr. X says, what do you think of Tottenham? For me, Tottenham, I like Tottenham, to be fair. I think Thomas Frank's a very good manager. You know, I think he's being slept on, if I'm honest. You know, he's a very, very good manager. And I think that, you know, the signing of Kudus, the signing of João Paulinho, I think they've made two very, very good signings there, you know. I mean, if you just go through Tottenham's team, you know, they've got Vicario in goal. You know, they've got Pedro Porro and Jed Spence, two right backs. Destiny Udogie at left back. And obviously Spence can play left back as well. Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and then Kevin Danso backing that up. You know, so if you look at their quartet of defenders, you know, that's quite decent, to be fair. You know, that's quite a decent defence. And again, Thomas Frank, for me, will make them a lot more sturdy at the back. You know, a lot more harder to break down. I think with Postecoglou, you know, they played some great football, Tottenham, but they were too open. And I think Thomas Frank will make sure they're more difficult to beat. I think if you look at the midfield, you know, Basuma, Bentancur, Bergval, Paulinho now, you know, Papa Matasar. I think that's a good midfield that's got energy. You know, it's got legs in there as well, and it's got quality. And again, with João Paulinho, he's got a defensive mind on his head as well. So I think that's a very good signing. And again, I think it's an option to buy for 30 mil. And then you look at the number 10, Maddison's out injured, but Kulusevski can play in the 10. You know, you've got Kudus on the right, Brennan Johnson backing him up. And then obviously Son's gone. But then they bought Mattis Tell in, who I'm not a massive fan of Mattis Tell. I do think he can be better, but he's got a show up this season. Richarlison can play out there as well. And then they've got Dominic Solanke through the middle. But I think Tottenham are going to at least sign another couple of players, because that Maddison injury means and Son going, it just means now they need to go and get someone that can play as a 10 and on the left. And I think Eze is the ideal player for that. There's no better player for them to go and get. Morgan Gibbs-White, but he's signed a new contract. But I think Eze is the ideal player for them to go and get in comparison to what they need. You know, a 10 and then someone that can play from the left as well. They were linked to Rodrigo. I mean, there's no way they're going to get Rodrigo. So I'm not even going to entertain that. But yeah, listen, they definitely need to get a 10 or a left winger for sure. But yeah, I like Tottenham, man. I think Tottenham. I think they're gonna surprise some teams, because I think Thomas Frank, you know what Thomas Frank done with Brentford, you know, and got Mbeumo Visser doing together last season, has to be respected, you know, because those guys between them, I think both of them hit 20 goals each, or one of them hit 20 league goals. I think one of them hit 19 or something like that. But that's no mean feat doing that at Brentford. So and again, Brentford finished bottom half of the table, and you had a striker getting 19 and a winger getting 20 goals. It's good business, man, and that's down to Thomas Frank and his system, you know. Urumua says, why didn't Arsenal get Sesko? I think with Sesko, I think there was a lot to do with, I think, money involved. You know, I think his agent wants a good payout as well. You know, I think when it comes down to it, Arsenal just didn't really want him that badly in comparison to Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres was always their preferred choice, but Sesko was probably a bit more easier to get at the time. But I think they just didn't want him in the end, you know, and they've obviously got Gyökeres now, so and for cheaper. So yeah. Jay says, I think strikers are a lost art now. There are only a couple of world-class strikers, and there's some underrated strikers, but there is not great strikers anymore. And the reason for that is, Jay, and that's a great question, is because if you look at a lot of the players that are coming through now, and again, it's a generation thing. You know, I think the likes of, you know, like a Neymar, a Lamine Yamal. Well, if we start off at Neymar, I think Neymar's probably been one of the pioneers for this shit. I mean, whereas before you used to get like a lot of central strikers coming through now, but I think now you're getting a lot of players that like to play out wide. You know, wide left players or wide right, the inverting as well. And I think, again, as we know, Ronaldinho for me was the very first player that started that off. You know, a right-footed player playing from the left, inverting. Then obviously you've seen other players do that, the likes of Eden Hazard, Anthony Martial, you know, Alexis Sanchez. You know, there's been loads of players. Neymar already mentioned. You know, you're seeing more and more players playing from the left as a right-footed cutting in, and then obviously on the other side as well. So I think the reason that there's no more strikers is because it's a generation thing of what's happening now. Because if you look at the truly world-class strikers right now in world football that are playing in Europe, they're both the wrong side of 30, and that's Harry Kane and Robert Lewandowski. So they're both coming to the end of their careers, really. And if you look at the next batch of strikers, this is when the likes of Osimhen, Gyökeres, you know, this is when them kind of players are now getting mentioned, you know. So again, yeah, it's just one of them things where the current generation of footballers coming through now, again, a lot of their idols are players like Neymar, you know, even like now. Players coming through now, their idols are players like Lamine Yamal, Desiree Doué. All these players are all wide players. So this is why a lot of players coming through now, as I say, are not really tending to be strikers or good quality strikers, you know. And this is what it is. It's a generation thing, you know. That's a great question, man, because again, it's I've been talking about this for time, because I remember when the likes of, when you're watching like the likes of R9 playing, or even if you look at when you had Benzema, Suarez, Lewandowski, and Aguero all in their prime. And guys, make sure as well, if you haven't checked out my posts, make sure you vote on there as well. So I've got some good posts up that I put up daily, and there's some good questions on there. I put one up recently, actually, well, this morning. I actually can't remember what one it was, but it's quite a good one, so I have to give that a check. But if you guys get a chance, yeah, make sure you vote on the posts, and then obviously in the comments, let me know what you think as well. But yeah, if you look at the striker market now, I remember when the likes of Lewandowski, Suarez, Aguero, and Benzema were all there in their prime. You know, that's four generally world-class strikers. Then you had Harry Kane there as well coming through, you know. And even of the eras before, there was always strikers that were, you know, there was loads of strikers. Hernan Crespo, you know. Pippo Inzaghi I didn't rate, but he was a goal scorer, you know. Shevchenko, Ibrahimovic, you know, like Adriano. Like, there was so many bad boys, you know. I'm talking about from back in the day as well. But the problem is now, as I said, there's not too many players that as much that want to be central strikers, because a lot of them want to play from out wide, and that's because of who. If all you have to look at is who is in the limelight right now, in terms of star players. You know, Lamine Yamal plays out wide, Desiree Doué plays out wide. You know, Kylian Mbappe. You know, I know he's playing central for Real Madrid, but he plays out wide. Vinicius Jr. plays out wide. Rodrigo plays out wide. So again, you know, even like Eden Hazard as well plays out wide. You know, even if we look at now, Kvaratskhelia plays out wide. Ousmane Dembele, again, I know he's playing as a false nine for PSG, but he's a wide player. So again, all these players coming through now are all wide players. So this is why there's a dying art of strikers right now, you know. But that's a great question, man. Big up. So Jay says the last GOAT strikers in the Premier League was Henry and maybe Rooney. But other than that, we haven't seen a striker who is considered a GOAT. And again, Jay, Henry and Wayne Rooney weren't traditionally your number 9 strikers. This is why when I'm hearing people say to me that Joshua Zirkzee is not a striker, it's like it's like the thing is, this is where the understanding is just not there, because Joshua Zirkzee is a striker. He just isn't the kind of striker that's a lot of people like, because you're not going to compare Thierry Henry with Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer was a striker, Thierry Henry was a striker, but they were different type of strikers. And this is where the misconceptions come in, because not every striker's the same. You know, you have some strikers that play on the shoulder. You have some strikers that link the play. You have some strikers that are the target men. There's all different type of strikers. If you look at Joshua Zirkzee, for instance, for argument's sake now, he's a striker that likes to drop in and link the play, you know? And then if you look at someone like, I'm trying to think, someone like an Ollie Watkins, let's say. Ollie Watkins is someone that would more like to play on the shoulder, you know? So again, there's different type of strikers in football. And as I said, the fact that we're saying that the last GOAT strikers in the Premier League was Thierry Henry and Wayne Rooney, these guys are not, as I said to you, are not traditional strikers. So again, it's one of them things, you know. Guys, anyone talking shit in the chat, I'm just blocking you out. I ain't got time for this. I'll block them myself. If anyone's coming in there just talking nonsense, you know, this is a football channel. You know, we like wrestling in here as well. We like boxing. We like UFC. You know, and if anyone's coming in there disrespecting my mods, or if anyone's just coming in there not contributing to the channel, as I said, you're not forced to be here. If you want to be here and contribute, then by all means, make sure you contribute to the channel and put your comments and chat in. But other than that, you just get blocked. Big up to the Muddy G from South Bronx, America. Big up, bro. Big up for coming through, man. Yeah, big up, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, big up, Jay, man. Appreciate coming on, bro. B2KM says, can we sell Kivior and get some space for Calafiori, but sign Jake for depth and potential? Yeah, so they've been linked with, I forgot his first name. Is it Jeremy Jake? I think it might be. I think they're getting him as a contingency for William Saliba. I think so, because I don't think Saliba's signed a new contract. And I think Saliba's going to see what Arsenal do this season. And then he could possibly be off if once Arsenal again don't win nothing. So that's why I think they're targeting that Jake, in my opinion. But Calafiori's been nothing but a flop as well. Kivior, to be fair, has done well when he came in, but he's not going to go ahead of Gabriel. So, again, if they can get money for him, then, yeah, I think that's what they'll probably try and do. So, but, yeah, I think Jake, for me, is going to be a replacement for William Saliba. You know, I think Saliba, I think he could be off, depending on what Arsenal do this season, you know. Big up to AO. Friedit says, what do you think about the allegations of Hakimi? To be fair, I've not really been paying attention to it, but yeah, I haven't paid attention to it. But I think, like, I can't really have a say on it, because I don't really know what's going on, you know. But as a player, massive fan of Hakimi, man, massive fan. One of the best right backs in the world, clearly, you know. And again, Hakimi's a former Real Madrid player. And Real Madrid must be kicking themselves to think that they have actually let Hakimi go, which is crazy, man. It's crazy. Big up to Niche Fan says, I'd have Manu in the 10. He's our club's most beautifully cultured footballer. He's not a midfielder. Big up to Niche Fan. So, Niche Fan, what I would say is that this is what I'm trying to say to you, and I've been saying this from the start. In this Ruben Amorim system right now, Kobe Manu has to play in the 10, you know. He has to play in the 10 because the way Kobe plays is not suited to playing in a 2 in this system. Because that 2 in that 3-4-2-1 system that Ruben Amorim wants to play, it requires leadership, it requires legs, it requires experience. You know, it requires being press resistant on the ball as well. And Kobe is press resistant on the ball, but from a higher position in the final third. And the thing as well, Kobe's still learning the game, and you need to be putting him in a position where the shackles are off and he can freely play his game. But the fact that Ruben Amorim keeps trying to put him as a central midfielder in this system, again, he's failing him. And to me, it's showing that Ruben Amorim doesn't rate Kobe Manu, because how he hasn't seen that Kobe can't really play that position in this system is baffling. And again, it's all to do with because he's shoehorning certain players, i.e. Bruno Fernandes, into the team. That's what it comes down to, you know. But again, Kobe in this system's a 10. If Man United play a 4-3-3 or play a 4-2-3-1, then Kobe can play centrally, because there's different requirements for a central midfielder when you're playing that system. So if he plays a 4-3-3, he can play as a left central midfielder, you know, where you might have someone that's defensive, another player that's box-to-box or more attacking, and then you got Kobe Manu. If you play a 4-2-3-1, he can play as one of the 2 in the midfield, you know, and then you got a number 10 where he can play as well. But this system of the 3-4-2-1, there's a lot of responsibility on the central midfielders. And again, that central midfield is awful in comparison to the combinations of players that are there. And as I said, when you're putting Kobe Manu there, it's a disservice to him, really, you know. And he's someone, as I said, this system, he has to be playing high up the pitch in the number 10, which he's not going to be doing, because this manager has brought in Cunha, and he's got Mason Mount that he'd prefer there, and he preferred to play Bruno there ahead of Kobe Manu. So as I said, this manager doesn't rate Kobe Manu, and the only way Kobe Manu is going to thrive at this club is once this manager goes. And I believe Kobe Manu is going to outlast this manager, because I don't rate this manager. I think he's stubborn. You know, I think he's pulling the wall over a lot of fans' eyes as well. And personally, I just think that he hasn't got what it takes, you know. Hopefully he can prove me wrong, but I doubt it, because the first thing that I look at with this manager is who he favours in terms of players. And when you're favouring Bruno Fernandes, you know, when you keep playing Rasmus Højlund, when you keep playing Dalot, you know, and you play Ugarte, it's telling me that, yeah, you haven't got a good eye for talent. So, yeah, that's what I would say on that. But big up, man. I do rate Kobe, but he has to play as a 10 in this system. But this system bullshit, as we know. Who's top 3 Brazilian strikers of all time in order? For me, R9 definitely. You guys know that. R9 Adriano. And I mean, I think you have to say Pele. Bebeto? Nah, Pele. I think Pele has to be in there, but Pele wasn't really in my time. But for me, definitely R9 and Adriano. If anyone remembers Luis Fabiano, used to be at Sevilla. He was a very good striker. Julio Baptista wasn't really a striker. I'm going to say R9 and Adriano, because I'm not going to say Pele, because Pele wasn't really my time. I didn't really watch Pele, even though Pele's obviously a god of football. But off the top of my head, I'm going to say Adriano and R9 and Adriano for me. The third one, I don't know, it's up for grabs, man. Up for grabs. We literally don't have a midfield or striker or goalkeeper. We are getting 10th max. Bro, listen, I'm not thinking that far ahead. As I said, this man just got 5 games come the start of the season. And then we're going to see what he's really on. Because he could be out before he knows it, you know. Guys, come on. There's 25 of you in at the moment. Only 15 likes. Let's try and hit the minimum target of 20 likes. Come on, get the likes up. Just one smash of the button. And again, if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well. As I said, check out my other content as well. And as always, guys, make sure you as well. Make sure you check out my posts as well. There's some good posts in there, and make sure you vote as well. Big up yourselves. Oh shit, Romario. Yeah, listen, Romario has to be in there. I forgot about Romario. Okay, so for me, R9, Adriano, Romario, easy. Yeah, I forgot about Romario. Gamer's gone Pele. I can see why you've gone Pele because Pele's Pele, but Pele wasn't really my time. So Adriano for me, definitely. Niche fan says I'd even take Weghorst on loan. It's that bad at our club. But Niche fan, what again? Weghorst is better. Weghorst is better than Hoyland. This is what people are not actually deep in. Weghorst is better than Hoyland. You know, it's crazy what's going on at this club at the moment. I mean, I just can't believe Rasmus Hoyland at the club. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but is what it is, man. Big up to Bivic from France. Big up for coming on. Guys, come on, 18 likes. Let's at least hit 20. 24 of you in at the moment. Smash the likes and obviously sub to the channel as well. Big up yourselves. So Adriano could have done a lot more, but as you know, he was going through a lot in his personal life. Yeah, he was, man. He was. Obviously, ever since his dad passed away, this is when he went off the hinges, really. I think the last thing I watched a documentary of Adriano, and he got involved. Obviously, he was from the favelas, but he got involved in the gangs and drugs and that in the favelas, man. So that's the last I see of him on a documentary, man. But for me, one of my favorite ever strikers, man. The guy was unbelievable, you know, unbelievable. The thing is with Adriano is that he was the left-footed version of Ibrahimovic. You know, he had probably more pace than Ibra, you know, but he was the left-footed version of Ibrahimovic. And those two players played together for Inter Milan. I mean, it was devastating, if anyone knows. But yeah. Mohamed Allo says Sesko is waiting for Man United. Listen, he can be waiting for Man United all he wants. You know, until he comes out and says that, it's just speculation. You know, at the end of the day, Newcastle have put the bid in, and we just got to wait and see. We just got to wait and see what happens now. You know, and again, it's gonna be his preference where he wants to go. But people saying that he's waiting for Man United, that's bullshit. That ain't true. He's deciding what's best for him. Man United are waiting for him, basically. They're waiting for him to make his choice. So it's the other way around. Not him waiting for United. Like I don't know who. That doesn't even make sense. How can he be waiting for Man United when Man United haven't put a bid in? So Man United are waiting for him to show that he wants to join them. So yeah, that doesn't make no sense. But big up, man, for coming through anyway. Broderick says Kobe ain't getting ahead of Cunha and Xerxes and Bruno in left 10. But again, Broderick, this is why until this manager goes, Kobe's gonna be in the wilderness until this manager goes. Because if Kobe plays, if Man United play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, Kobe has more chances of playing. But as it stands right now, he's not gonna play in the 10, and in the 6 or the 8. He can't play there because it's got different requirements in that position, you know. Niche fan says he wants Amarin out ASAP. Listen, the fact that Amarin survived the start of this season is a joke in itself. So, as I said, man, I think he's got 5 games and then we're gonna see what's going on. But yeah, I can't disagree, man, because last season was nothing short of a joke. You know, so yeah, Shan, big up, man. I mean, you can congratulate us on winning the summer series trophy, but it's not a trophy for me, man. You know, it's a friendly. You know, and you shouldn't be getting any trophies for friendlies, in my opinion. So, but yeah, as I said, man, it means nothing because I'd much prefer to see better performances. So we can see what's going to go on at the start of the season. I've seen nothing different, just better players come in and as we know, they probably show their individual quality at times in games. But in terms of the style of play, in terms of who he keeps playing, it's the same old shit, man. So I'm not really that excited, I'll be honest. So they can win the trophy, which means nothing, but performances is what counts, you know. Big up to Ammo as well. Big up Ammo for coming through. Big up. Guys, come on, we got 19 likes. Let's try and hit the like button if you haven't smashed it already. Let's try and at least hit 20 likes for today's stream. I'm going to go through all your questions before we end up wrapping up. I am going to be back, guys, at 7:30 as well. So we're going to see if there's any news dropping. So I'll definitely be back at 7:30. So yeah, make sure you guys come back through as well. Niche fan says, I feel like Amorim is sabotaging Kobbie's career. Bro, he is. He is because the rule of any top coach, for a start, is to identify a player's weakness and make them better. The fact that this manager, this coach, should I say, is playing Kobbie in a position where you can clearly see that Kobbie's struggling and he keeps on doing it, for me, it's just showing he doesn't really care about Kobbie Mainoo. He doesn't, you know. So obviously, I want Kobbie to sign a new deal, but he's only going to thrive once this manager's gone, you know, and that's the actual truth. So we'll have to wait and see, man, what happens. We have to wait and see what happens. But I think as it stands right now, Kobbie's not gonna start against Arsenal. That's a guarantee. I think he'll get minutes against Fiorentina, but against Arsenal, he's gonna be on the bench for that. Guarantee. So 40 Edits Daily says 80 million euros. We got the lad. Newcastle offer Champions League. Bro, but listen, I can't blame you, man, to be honest with you, because everything's pointing towards him going to Newcastle, I'll be honest. It does. Everything points to him going to Newcastle. But again, the power's with Sesko, what he wants to do. So unless we hear him come out and say that, then again, it's still in the balance. But I think personally, everything points to him going to Newcastle. And as I said, I don't particularly want Sesko anyway, you know, and I'm going to stick by that. So we'll have to wait. Niche fan says Kobbie is the best player at our club, and Amorim is literally destroying him. I wouldn't say he's the best player at the club by any means. He's not. He's someone that has a lot of talent. But if Man United were doing what they're meant to be doing in terms of having a cohesive squad, a team, you know, Kobbie Mainoo really should be someone that's coming off the bench and getting appearances. Because I'm not saying Kobbie should be starting week in, week out, you know. This team right now, the way he is 3-4-2-1, he shouldn't be starting week in, week out because he's not better than Cunha as a 10. He's not better than Ahmad as a 10. And obviously he's not better than Mbuemo as a 10. So he shouldn't be starting week in, week out. But the issue he has is that the only way he can fit into this team is by playing in the 6 or the 8, which we know he can't do. So, again, until this formation's changed and Kobbie can figure a bit more, then we can start saying, you know what I mean, Kobbie deserves his place in the team. But to be honest with you, Kobbie doesn't, he isn't Man United's best player because, as I said, he's not better than Ahmad. He's not better than Cunha. He's not better than Mbuemo. You know, he's not better than Xerxes. So that's just 4 players already that he's not better than. So, yeah, I like Kobbie Mainoo, but to say he's the best player, that's not true, in my opinion. And is Amorim destroying him? I agree. He's not helping him, put it that way, you know. Big up to 3 times Trey says, I think Sesko in the 3-4-3 would shine. He can drop deep and progress forward, scoring and finding Mbuemo and Cunha. Big up to 3 times Trey, but I disagree because for a start, Man United are not playing 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1. And again, it's important, guys, to understand systems and formations. The reason this is a 3-4-2-1 is because the left and the right are number 10s. If you're playing a 3-4-3, you're going to be playing with inside forwards or with wingers. Yeah? Man United are not playing that system. They're playing 3 at the back, 4, 2 in midfield, 2 wing backs, and then you're playing 2 number 10s and a striker. So it's not a 3-4-3, it's a 3-4-2-1. And this is what I'm trying to say to you. when you're saying Sesko can drop deep and progress forward, scoring and finding Mbeumo and Cunha, again, you need a facilitator for that. And Sesko's not a facilitator. He's not. And Sesko doesn't drop deep the way that a Joshua Zirkzee drops deep, which is what United need if you've got those wide forwards. So for me, Sesko's someone that plays more on the shoulder, you know. And again, this is the guy that scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga. And again, I'm not too fussed about how many goals he's scoring as such. But we were told at the start of the summer by a lot of these fans that Man United need to go out and get a goal scorer that gets 30 goals, you know. Even though I don't believe that, because as I said, you got wide forwards there, which means you don't need to get a striker that scores 30 goals. You need a facilitator. But the fact that Man United are going for Sesko, that doesn't fit the bill really, and has only scored 13 league goals last season, again, is concerning. So, but big up to 3 times Trey anyway for coming through. Big up to Emily Rowe. I thought that was Emil Smith Rowe for a minute. But big up Emily. The thing is, though, Man U have not put in a bid. Yeah, because someone said that Sesko's waiting on United, which is incorrect. Man United are waiting on Sesko because United are waiting on Sesko to decide. That's what it comes down to. So that's why United haven't put a bid in, because how United work is that if the player gives the club the assurances that he wants to join them, that's when they'll feel more confident in putting a bid, which is why I can see him going to Newcastle, because surely Newcastle would have learned from their mistakes to not put in a bid, because they got stung by João Pedro by doing the same thing. So surely Newcastle would have learned that, you know, let's get the agreement from the player first and then put the bid in. So the fact that Newcastle have now come out and put that bid in, they must have been given an assurance by Sesko's camp that he wants to go there. Because why would you put the bid in? You know? Emily Rose says, how highly do you rate Sesko? I don't really rate him that highly, I'll be honest. You know, I think he's a good player, but he's not what United need. You know, the only positive is that if he happens to go to United, if it's to take out Rasmus Højlund, then although I don't want Sesko, but it will cushion the blow a bit. But I don't really rate him that. I don't rate him that highly, if I'm honest. You know, I think he's a good striker, but the way I'm hearing some people talk about him is over the top, if I'm honest. You know, and as I said, you know, for too long we've been hearing, you know, that strikers like Man United need a striker that scores 30 goals, and you know, people were getting on to Martial for not getting too many goals. All of a sudden, 13 goals in the Bundesliga is now seen as acceptable, but before it wasn't. And again, that's another sign that the standards at this club have dropped, because all of a sudden now, someone scoring 13 Bundesliga goals is seen as all right now. You know, it's crazy. And to pay that amount of money. Yeah, it's madness. Yeah, Niche fan, I agree, man. I agree. Not Mbeumo in the 9. I wouldn't want Mbeumo in the 9. I think if you play a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, because again, I don't want to see Ahmad as a wing-back. But in this system, he has to play wing-back. But a 4-3-3, you could have Mbeumo or Ahmad as the right wingers. You know, again, if one of them's on the bench, again, it just means that the squad's stronger. But you can have them options there. You could have Kobe playing in as a left of a 3 in midfield. Cunha can play from the left or play through the middle. You know, Zirkzee can play through the middle. So, yeah, a 4-2-3-1, you could have Ahmad as a 10, and Mbeumo on the right, Cunha from the left, Zirkzee up top. You know, or you could have and Kobe as one of the 2 in midfield. Or Kobe could play in a 10. You know, Zirkzee could play up top, or Cunha can play up top. You know, there's so much different combinations you can do. But this 3-4-2-1 is only there for certain profiles. And you have to be a particular profile to play that as well, which is why Kobe's struggling to play as a 2 in this position. You know? Right, guys, I'm going to go through a few more of your chats before we wrap up. But again, I'm going to be back at 7:30 tonight. So, again, if there's any news dropping, then we're going to go at 7:30. It probably won't be a long one at 7:30 because obviously I'm doing the long one now, but we'll definitely be back at 7:30. So yeah, if you guys want to come back through and give your support as always, much appreciated. So my favorite formation is 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. Yeah, those formations for me. So Grove Gaming says, bro, he would have already come if he was choosing Newcastle. He's waiting for our bid. Again, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. And I'll tell you why it's incorrect. Because someone in the chat earlier said that Sesko is waiting on Man United. So which is it? Is Sesko waiting for Man United or is Man United waiting for Sesko? You know what I mean? So it's going to be one or the other. What Sesko's doing, he's weighing up what's going to be best for his career. You know, the fact that Man United haven't made a bid yet is because Man United need to get assurances from the player before they put the bid in. So because Newcastle's put the bid in, that doesn't mean to say that he's rejected Newcastle and he's waiting for United. He wants to look at both proposals and feel what is best for his career. You know, that's not hard to understand. So to say he's waiting on Man United he's waiting for our bid. Man United are not going to put a bid in until the player has said he wants to go to Man United. So Man United's bid may never come. That's the whole point of it. So Man United's bid might not come unless they get assurances from the player. So he's just weighing up what's best. And as I said, it's 50-50 for me. It's 50-50 because Newcastle have shown that they're willing to get him. They've put the bid in. And again, he's obviously just debating whether he wants to go there or to Man United. But at this moment, as it stands, you'd have to say Newcastle are actually in the driving seat because they've actually offered the money. Man United have shown that they're not really going to offer the money yet until they get assurances from the player. And if that happens, then fair enough. Then you can say that, you know, he's going to go to Man United. But they haven't... They won't put the bid in yet. So if you're saying Sesko's waiting for the bid ain't going to come in until he gives the assurances to Man United, which obviously he hasn't done. So, yeah, big up to Random YT, Barca fan here. Yeah, big up, man. Barca's my team as well. I watched them yesterday, actually. They beat, Daegu? I think it might be 4 or 5-0. I think Rashford got his first goal as well. You know, but yeah, man, Barca, they're looking good, man. So Abademi Caxton says, you don't want Sesko. Who do you want, sir? So Mateta, Vissa, Ivan Toney. Premier League proven, and they would offer what United need. United don't need Benjamin Sesko. Like that's my opinion. They don't need Benjamin Sesko. Not for what I believe needs to happen in terms of being a facilitator for the wide players. For me. Groove Gaming, yeah, fuck off then, man. You're not forced to be here. You're talking shit. You know what I mean? You can come in, you can talk shit on other channels, man, but don't come in there talking shit. You know what I mean? If you can't handle a difference of opinion, this channel ain't for you, man. So yeah, get out of it. Big up to Green Ninja 916 says, you a United fan, bruv? Yeah, I am, man. Man United fan. And also I like Barcelona as well. So yeah, I'm a Man United fan. Big up, man, for coming through. Guys, we're going to go for another 5 minutes. So if you've got any questions to give me, you know, any football-related questions, can be anything. Another 5 minutes. And as I said, I'm going to be back at 7:30. Big up to the Red Lighters, Hala Madrid. Red light, is it Red Lictors or Red Lighters? I want to ask you a question as you're a Madrid fan. How do you see Madrid getting on this season? Because for me, I think there's trouble ahead. You know, if that combination of Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. continue, along with Bellingham, I can see there being problems ahead from Madrid. Let me know what you think, man. Oh, you hate Madrid. Okay. Oh, you hate Madrid. My bad. I thought you said you like Madrid. So, guys, come on, give me your questions before we wrap. We got 23 likes. Okay, if you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you do. And again, if you're a newcomer, make sure you sub to the channel as well. Oh, you like Barca? Oh, big up, bro. Big up, man. Okay, let me ask you another question then. You're from Scotland. Okay. Let me think. Where do you see Barca doing? Well, how do you see Barca doing this season in the Champions League, realistically? Oh, Eto'o's your GOAT, yeah? Okay. Yeah, listen, Samuel Eto'o, man. What a striker he was. Again, Samuel Eto'o, formerly of Real Madrid as well. Formerly of Real Madrid. Yeah, listen, Samuel Eto'o was dangerous, man. That front three, I remember when they had Ronaldinho, Eto'o, and Ludovic Giuli. And then obviously Messi took over from that. But yeah, man, he's been involved in some good front lines. So red light is thinks they will get to the final and Lamine Yamal will score, top him, finesse shot in last minute and win it for us. Bro, to be honest with you, I think that sounds too good to be true, you know. But listen, I think Barca will be looking to get at least to a semi-final. Again, when they got beat by Inter Milan, they gave that game away. I watched that game, and for me, it was annoying because Barca had chances to sharp the game and protect their lead, but they just gave it away. So the fact they got beat by Inter and then Inter got smashed in the final by PSG, you know, it should have been a Barca PSG final, man. That'd have been a great final for me. But I think semi-finals a minimum requirement. I'm just thinking. I mean, Juan Garcia, goalkeeper, I like him. I think he's good. I got him on my FIFA actually. A very good keeper. Rooney Bargagi, I like him as well. Again, he's gonna back up Lamine Yamal. Obviously, Rashford on loan. You know, he'll offer something different as well. I think personally, I don't know if they win the Champions League. I don't know. I think they might need. I'm trying to think where they can improve though. It's hard to improve on what they've got, really. It's hard to improve. I think I mean they've got Rashford in who can play left wing and play as a striker. Yeah, I'm not sure if they win it, but I'm saying semi-final is a minimum requirement for them. And if they get to the final again, it's anyone's game. But I'm just thinking, have they got the squad this time? Because I think the players they've brought in, they've not really been needle movers, I would say. But they've got players in where they needed to. Because Rashford, they needed someone that could play through the middle because of Lewandowski can't play every game. And they needed someone on the left-hand side as well. So I think in that sense, you know, they've got cover there. And they've got Ferran Torres as well that can do both roles. But yeah, for me, Lamine Yamal, man, when you've got him in your team, anything's possible, man. And guys, I'll reiterate what I've said before here as well. Lamine Yamal is a key player for club and country at 17, you know, and he was that at 16. Like, that is unheard of. You know, you don't have a player that young being a key player for club and country, you know. So this guy, obviously, hopefully he stays injury clear. He's on his way to becoming a great man. He is. Because there's never been a player that has been a key player for club and country that young. And he can only get better as well with more experience. So hopefully he just stays injury free, you know, and just keeps grounded and just keeps improving. Because, yeah, this guy's going to be something special, man. So, Eto'o or Henry, that's a difficult one. I think I have to say for preference, probably Henry. But again, they're two different type of strikers. You know, Henry's more of a player that likes to drift out wide. Etu's more of a central striker. But two great strikers. Um, Yamal will be second in the Ballon d'Or next year. See, I think Yamal should win it if you're talking about the best player. But as I keep mentioning, Dembele for me because of Champions League and his numbers, I think has to be respected and up there. You think Doué's going to win it? I like Doué, but Doué's not in Yamal's class for me. He's not. But Doué's a very good player. And Gamer, as I said before, you know, if Isak is smart, he stays at Newcastle and next season because Barca needs someone to replace Lewandowski. And if you look at his age, you know what he's been doing, he's the next one. He's the next up and coming one. So I'll be surprised if that doesn't happen. If I'm honest with you, you know. But again, if he's gonna push the Liverpool move, then that might happen. Gamer says Etu or Adriano. Adriano for me, bro. I don't think you understand how good Adriano was, man. If anyone hasn't seen Adriano, this guy was meant to be taking the mantle over from R9. He was that good. So yeah, massive fan of Adriano. So Adriano for me, man. He had literally everything. Bullet left foot. Etu or Ronaldinho and Etu are not the same players, but Ronaldinho. One's a striker, one's a number 10. But Adriano had everything. Adriano had a powerful shot. He was strong. He was skillful. Great touch. Great technique. There was no... He could finish. Great free kick taker. Great penalty taker. The guy had literally everything. There was no weakness to his game. You know? Aggressive as well. Like, good in the air. Like, he had literally everything. So yeah, man, it's a shame he didn't make the most of his career, man, after what happened. But what a player. McTominay or Mason Mount? Do you know what? I'm not even going to answer that because I only want to answer on good players personally. You know, big up to Red Litsies anyway, but I can't be answering Mount or McTominay. Like Ronaldo or Messi? Messi all day. Messi all day. Yeah, I can't be answering McTominay or Mason Mount, man. That's not good for my health, man, to be answering questions based on poor players like that, man. Can't be doing that. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming through each and every time. You know, we got 24 likes. You know, if you're in the chat right now, or if you're watching live and you haven't smashed the like button, again, it's just one press of the button, helps the channel to grow. And again, if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel. But as I said, guys, it's much appreciated you guys coming through and contributing to the channel. But as I said, you know, you're not forced to be here. So if you're not going to contribute and contribute to the channel with some positive chat, as I said, man, it's free content. You're not forced to be here. So you can go obviously elsewhere if this channel's not for you, you know. And again, if anyone's, you know, talking shit about on my mods, again, you'll be blocked or be timed out because this channel's not about that. It's about having good football conversations. We're not here to agree on everything. But if you're here for the dialogue, you know, and you like just general football talk, also wrestling talk, boxing, UFC talk, then by all means, you know, put your comments in the chat. But again, one thing I'm not going to accept is people disrespecting my mods, obviously who are hearing me all the time and they regulate the channel, man. So yeah, but big up yourselves each and every time, all the newcomers for coming through. And again, big up to the mods each and every time as well. So guys, I'm going to be back at 7:30, you know, so yeah, obviously, hopefully some news drops. So yeah, keep an eye on the schedule, keep an eye on, put your notifications on as well. And again, guys, make sure you vote on my posts, you know, as well. If you haven't voted so far, make sure you vote and give me your comments as well. And as I said, appreciate your support each and every time. So as I said, yeah, 7:30, guys. Catch you back then. Hopefully see you guys back then as well. But other than that, have a good day. Take it easy. And I'll catch you guys in a bit.